Hello and welcome back to the Planning Perspectives podcast. I'm Jamie Hopkins, one of your co-hosts. I'm Chief Wealth Officer here at WSFS, joined by Kate Duffy, Senior Financial Advisor and the co-host of the show. Kate, great to see you.
Thanks, Jamie. Always good to be here.
Well, I'm excited today. We've got one of our good friends and somebody who's probably, my best friend at work who I talk to every single day, but Shari Kruzinski, Executive Vice President and Chief Consumer Banking Officer at WSFS Bank. Shari, super excited to talk about your journey from your early days at WSFS to rising up to leading our consumer banking offering here. And, really the largest regionally headquartered bank in our area. So super excited to have you on the show today. And I want to start off with just talk about your journey, how you got into banking and your kind of first role here with WSFS Bank.
Well, thank you, Jamie. And first of all, I just want to say I'm honored to be with both of you today. Appreciate you having me on. It has been a journey, actually, a 37-year journey. And I don't want to take up the whole podcast with the first question, but it is a rather untraditional career story in some ways. So it was many years ago, and I had just relocated to Delaware. I was a very, very young mom, and it was as simple as I was looking for a job in banking. I applied at all different banks all around Wilmington, Delaware, and WSFS was the first bank that called me. And I was actually hired as a floating teller. So, not
Mm,
even as a permanent teller. I was hired to float all around Newcastle County and accepted the position. And it was as simple as that in terms of how things got started. And from there, I just really learned every single job within the banking office, serving clients, doing transactions, opening accounts. And ultimately, when the bank decided to expand into in store banking, which started to become
mm.
popular, I had an opportunity to take on my first leadership role.
Mm.
And what did that leadership role look like? Because I remember when we were talking before the show, it was in a grocery store. So tell us about that a little bit. Well, my traditional banking friends thought that I was crazy. But as I said, at that time in the mid 90s, in store banking was becoming really popular.
Mhm.
It was an innovative and efficient way to expand the bank. And so I said, oh, I'll try it, which again, they thought that I was a little crazy. 7 days a week, the bank was open later at night. But it was probably the pivotal career decision that I ever made, frankly. I learned so much about hiring, talent, coaching, leadership, marketing. We were doing all kinds of marketing right in the grocery store, walking up and down the aisles, making announcements over the PA system, bagging groceries. I would walk up to people in the store and say, with a head of lettuce in my hand, and say, let us tell you about in store banking, and then promote the convenience of it. Over time, I led all of the in-store banking expansion that we did at the bank, which we were pretty aggressive at that time. And then from there, that did lead me back to a leadership role on the traditional bank side of the house. Was able to lead sales strategy for the bank. I was involved in several of our mergers and acquisitions. I became the chief client experience officer for the company. And then over the past 3 years, I've had the great privilege to lead the consumer bank. And it's been quite a ride, and it's been a lot of fun. And as I tell people that I'm interviewing, and it's very sincere, but as excited about being at WSFS today than the very first day that I started at WSFS with my bangs and my perm that you had back then. So it's just been incredible.
That's fantastic. And I love how you highlight the side where we have fun with clients, especially in your story in the grocery store. But we also know that when clients are coming into branches, sometimes, well, a lot of times, they're looking for help. The first thing that comes to mind is like fraud when someone comes in and they're really upset about that, or divorce, or death, or maybe marriage, or selling a business. And they need someone on the other side to help them to understand what they're going through. And so, when did it click for you that banking wasn't really transactional? It was more about the relationships that you create with clients?
Yeah, thank you for that. Very early on, like almost instantly. And it's just my love for people. I love people. I love serving. I love helping. And we really do have a tremendous opportunity in this business to do just that. Really help people in managing the various moments in life that they're encountering. I tell people banking is a noble profession and something to be really, really proud of. Helping someone start a business, helping someone buy their first home, navigate that
Mhm.
scary fraud situation. So, though I don't get to serve clients directly as I did many years ago, it's really one of my favorite things when I can be out and run into clients that have been with us for many years. And it's not unusual that I actually do see a client that I personally provided service
Mhm.
to many years ago or helped with a problem, and they remember me and I remember them. It's something that I just take a great amount of pride in.
I think it's really powerful and amazing because those relationships, as you mentioned, over time, that is how you build trust. It's how you build confidence with people when they see the way that Wistfish shows up consistently, right, year after year for them through all these different stages of life, and some of the good, some of the hard, and some of the bad. But they're still there. And I mean, I think that's really a testament also, we're a 193 plus year company serving people in this region. I just think that's so powerful.
Mhm. And consistency really does matter, and we've seen that in your career, 37 years. Tell us what has made you stay with WSFS for that long? What about the people or the culture made it worth growing with?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I sort of touched on this earlier, and Jamie, you just spoke about it too. The mission of our company, we stand for service. And that just aligns perfectly with who I am and kind of what I stand for. What's that saying? When you do something you love, you never actually work a day in your
Mhm.
life. And that really starts with aligning yourself with a company where you can share in the purpose and the mission. So I've found that we can make a great impact on the clients that we serve and on this community that we serve. And I think that's one of the things that has kept me here for so long. I mentioned earlier I was a very young mom when I started, and the bank invested in me. They invested in me through college and through banking school. And that means a lot to me. And it's something that I'm extremely grateful for. They took a chance on me, and I've been here to help accelerate, I think, our success as an organization. So it's been a wonderful opportunity.
And a lot of this is really diving into how do you build trust and consistency, long term relationships. I think one of the things that WISFIS really stands for is this local relationship where we have branches in local markets, and our associates come from these markets. We live in the markets. The leadership team is here. We're not, 8 states away, and decisions are made locally. And I think that's really important. Often when I'm talking to clients, it's local decision making. So we know our market, we know the people, we know what's going on here. But the world is changing a lot. You talked about in-store banking. There's still a little bit of it, but it's really gone away. Now we have in-store stores, which is funny, right? They put other stores inside of other stores. So coffee definitely became one of those in-store, but now you see stores with 4 or 5 stores right inside of it. And I think that's been a big change. But we've also seen this growing digital world. And so the way people are interacting with their finances has moved more online than it was a year ago. It'll be more online in 6 months than it is today. So, why does local relationships and local banking still really matter as much to people today as maybe it did a couple years ago and might in the future?
Yeah, I might argue that it actually matters more as things have shifted so much to technology. I think digital tools, they're essential. I guess, maybe love them and hate them, I guess, depending on what you're doing, but they're super convenient. And I think if you have something really basic, a basic transaction that you need to do or an inquiry, it's great. It's convenient. You can check your balance in the middle of the night, make transactions. But you kind of touched on this, Jamie. But when you have something in your life that has happened and you need advice, I don't think you want to be caught in a loop with a chatbot, for example, especially if maybe you've encountered a fraud, or you just need to solve, some major life event is happening and something's changing and you really need advice and you need to speak to a human. So I think that's really where we differentiate as an organization. And we have the tools that I think clients need and expect, but we're also there with our branch network and our associates to help you navigate in person
Mhm.
life's journey.
Mhm. That's such a great point because I was even on the phone the other day waiting in queue with a healthcare company, and I'm just pressing 0, and I'm like, "Help, help, representative, someone to get live to walk through something when you're having a challenge."
Sorry,
And what
Kate, we can't understand what you're saying. Could you please repeat that?
And that only makes you
Jamie's our
more
Yeah.
chatbot.
frustrated, to be
It
honest.
does. And
It's
when you're talking about money, which is one of the most personal things in our lives, we want to hear from someone live, but we also want to know that we're working with someone that we trust, someone who is working to understand what we're trying to accomplish and can help us make really smart decisions. We've talked about trust, we've talked about familiarity. Tell us what that kind of familiarity, why does it create such a strong sense of stability?
Yeah. So you mentioned the word trust. That's a big word, if not the biggest word in our business, really. I think when you constantly deliver for your clients and they know you can count on you to provide service in good times and in bad times, that's when you earn that trust. And then you become sought after and they have confidence in you. I think about our banking offices because we just have these long standing relationships with our clients, kind of like Cheers, where you walk in and everyone knows your name. But it really is like that at WSFS. We know our clients, we're in the community, we have associates that have been with us for many years that really do deeply understand the communities and the clients they serve. And I think that is the differentiator.
Yeah, I think getting to know people is really fun. And I'm going to hop over to a topic that I really like because I have an experience with it. And that's about like the kids and this next generation of engaging with them. I've taken each one of my kids, Sherry, as you know, into a bank branch to set up their first accounts. And I took each one of them individually. So they had that experience of like sitting at the desk, and it almost seems like magic to them, right? Somebody is typing away, giving you stuff to sign, and all of a sudden they open up an account. And so I think one of the things around that is, how do you help build these early relationships with young people? Because for a lot of people, this is their first experience with money or savings or banking, is a very little kid getting a couple dollars for Christmas and opening up that first account with their parents.
Yeah, this is a really important role that we play in banking, and I think it's a tremendous opportunity for us to, start them young with really good habits as it relates to managing their finances and saving, so they're prepared for life. I've been excited to see actually in the news recently bringing back this curriculum to our schools in
Mhm.
a formal way.
Mhm.
So that's been exciting. A couple of things that I'll highlight that we're doing that I think really speaks to your question, Jamie. And one of those is happening real time. So we're a big part of Teach Children to Save. And over the next few weeks, our associates will be out delivering teach children to save curriculum
Mm.
in over 100 schools with third and fourth graders all across our community. So I think that's one really tangible example of how important we think this is to show up for the kids and really make sure that at a very young age they are learning what it means to be saving and planning and spending appropriately. So I think that's really important. Also, last year we announced a partnership with Greenlight, and I hope that you've heard of it. But if your listeners have not heard of it, I would really encourage you to go out there and check it out. It is a really cool, innovative tool designed for kids. And essentially, it's just this family financial app
Mm.
that parents can give their kids money based on chores they're doing, grades they're getting in school, or anything else in terms of behavior that we're trying to drive with our children, giving them rewards. And then through this app, they're learning to save. They're learning when they want to spend, they have to make those spending decisions. And I think it's incredibly valuable. Greenlight does a great job with this. They have gamified the experience. So our kids really do connect with it. I think, Jamie, did you get your kids
I
on the
I did,
Greenlight app?
yeah.
Okay. And how
We
do they like it?
they did, they liked it. We used it specifically. I'm part of, like, a CEO dads group that I spend time with, and it's all about being a better father and spouse, and it's been a great experience for me. But in that, somebody else had engaged with Greenlight right when we were launching it at the bank, and they said what they did is when they take their kids on family trips, that's their, like, free spending money. So you kinda set boundaries with the kids saying, "Look, I'm gonna pay for the travel and the food and all this stuff that we do, but if you want, like, that lollipop when you're walking down the side street or whatever, and there's the little vendors." We did it at Disney, so if you wanna buy any of the stuff at Disney, I'm buying 0 stuffed animals, 0 Mickey ears, 0 sunglasses, and if you've been to Disney, there's, like, this fan that squirts water, and it's, like, $300, right? It's, like, the most expensive water squirt gun fan thing you've ever seen, and all the kids want one, and they have to use the Greenlight card, and we do chores beforehand, so they get money in there, but it really does help with their spending because when they walk around with $100 and they see this thing, they say, "Well, how much is that?" "Oh, it's like $30." "Well, I don't wanna spend on that." So they have actually spent a lot less by having that own ownership of their money versus, dad's credit card feels unlimited to them, but when it's their $100, they treat it very differently. So it's been such a cool experience involving that with travel and kids and teaching them about money at the same time.
That's a dad win.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. That's great. And we at WSFS, because we feel so um, that this how important this is, we provide this free
Yeah.
to all of our clients. So, and I would just encourage any WSFS client out there to take advantage of it because it is incredibly powerful when kids are making their own spending decisions. It really is.
So that's great. So that's where we can create relationships really early on. And then let's fast forward because everybody engages in banking or with their money every day in some way, shape, or form, whether you're getting cash, you're using your debit card, you're investing, you're borrowing. And so as our clients evolve, we evolve alongside them. And you have introduced the Trusted Advisor program to our branches. So tell us a little about that and how it serves our clients today and what they need.
Yeah, thank you for that question. And it is something that we have rolled out in the past year, and it's really part of, how I think about the consumer bank. And I think about the retail network as the front door to the entire organization. And I believe that we have to be the very best at uncovering client needs because we are the face for the entire bank, and a client or a prospect can walk in from absolutely anywhere and ask a question or need help. So it's just so important that our team has the skills and the education to be able to deliver. Trusted Advisor is specifically designed to support our managers and our business banking with those small business client conversations, truly understanding what the needs are of a small business or an entrepreneur who wants to start a business or needs their first line of credit. We have a very rigorous learning curriculum that we've put in place, and actually, our associates have to graduate from the program. So it's just one example of what we do to make sure our associates are really delivering on that promise of service, but also advice and truly looking at that entire relationship when we're engaging with clients, there could be other needs also outside of retail, as I mentioned, referring to our partners and
Mhm.
having those close partnership relationships across the division is also really important. So we're always connecting and referring to our wealth partners, to our commercial partners, to ensure that our clients are really getting the expert advice that they need, depending on their situation.
That's fantastic because you are showing within our culture that we support our associates, which then helps us support our clients. And we know that we support our communities as well. So we really lean into being a community partner. And tell us what that looks like or how it shows up in day to day for you and your team?
Well, I love that question. I'm glad you brought it up. So, in my role, I do have the opportunity to oversee our community impact team. And volunteering and supporting our community is just such a big part of what we're doing. Really proud that last year we volunteered actually over 38,000 hours
Wow.
in our community. This year we have a goal of 40,000 hours. But what I think is really uh, something we should all be proud of is that 86% of our associate population participates in volunteering in our community. That is actually considered best in class. So, something that we're really, really proud of.
Yeah, I mean, 38,000 hours of volunteerism for a company with less than 3,000 associates is phenomenal. As you said, almost 90% participation across associates every year in volunteering in our local community. And it is something that we talk about at WSFS, which is that virtuous cycle that really community style banks and regional banks play such an important role because when we invest back in the community, it's helpful for those partners and nonprofits and organizations there. But then that helps the economy in the local community. And when the economy is doing better, the schools are better, people have more opportunity. And then as more opportunity grows, it's also better for the businesses like us that are in that community. Can you give us a couple examples of how you've actually seen that play out? Some real ones that come to mind?
Well, there's a lot of examples, but I think one of the biggest one that comes to mind for me is when we help someone realize the dream of home ownership. So something that I'm really passionate about that we do at WISFIS is we help first-time home buyers through our WSFS grant program. Last year we gave over 400 grants. And our mortgage professionals work really closely. And as you can imagine, think about the first time
Mm.
that you bought a home. It's so scary, and our mortgage professionals really do work very, very closely and really hold the hand of those borrowers that need extra help. And we can understand the various programs that are out there and available to clients along with the mortgage grant program. And there's one story that I would love to share if it's okay
Mhm.
that comes to mind. But we were working with a borrower who just kept losing out on the market's been competitive, and so
Hmm.
they just
Mhm.
kept losing out on their home that they were trying to purchase. And then finally they were able to get a house, get their bid accepted, and with the mortgage grant program and then combining that with all of the other programs that our experts are aware of, we were able to get this single mom in a home for $1,500.
Wow.
And this, in this case, this was the first person in the family that was a homeowner. And I was talking with the mortgage lender who shared that the family came to the settlement table, the
Mhm.
mother, the grandmother, and they were in tears. Again, this was the first person in their family that was able to own a home. And when you think about how you can play a role in that by having talented mortgage professionals offering the grant program, really living your mission of
Mhm.
service, that's pretty powerful. You're changing someone's life.
That goes way beyond transaction.
Yeah.
I mean, because it is a pivotal moment for this
Yes.
family. So that's an amazing
Yeah.
story. And I love when you talk about living the mission because culture is huge. It shapes everything, especially the client experience. Tell us how Wispus intentionally fosters a culture of empathetic associates, which results in strong relationships with
Yeah,
clients.
it sure does. And I get this question a lot because I think we're known for our culture. And it's not any one thing, it's a lot of things that we do every day consistently that contribute to the really special culture that we have. We're really focused on communication, recognition, having fun, celebrating when people do well, recognize, like I said,
Mhm.
recognizing that. One of the neat things that we do across the company, and maybe they do it in other companies, but I can't imagine that it is quite like WSFS, but we share company wide success stories, and anyone in the company can take an opportunity to let everyone know a way that they served a client or the way that they partnered with someone else in the organization to get something done. And, probably companies roll this out and people don't really share. A lot of companies have things that they do that amplify the culture. And one of the things that we do with these culture stories is really share those successes. And I am here to tell you that our associates love sharing those successes. And actually, with almost every single story, our CEO responds, and they like that a lot.
Yeah, it is great seeing Roger hop in and say congrats to people and living the "We stand for service." It really is special.
Yeah.
Well, Shari, we are going to go to rapid fire questions, if that is okay with you. So, this is the first response that comes to mind. What is the best piece of advice that you ever received or you share consistently?
That's easy. That's from my mom. Always take the high road.
Hmm. What's one underrated financial habit you wish more people practiced?
You've heard it before, but it's so important. Pay yourself first, save.
Okay, so when you go into the branch on the weekends or on your personal time, what is it that you're looking for?
I am looking for people standing, smiling, wearing their name badges.
Now, if you were not in the banking and the financial world, what would you be doing instead?
Judgment free zone.
Judgment free zone.
I would be a singer
Yeah.
in a lounge in the Poconos.
Okay. A Poconos lounge singer. That's
That's
a
right.
that's a new one for us. Nobody said that one. I love it. What would be your go-to song that you close out the night then? Yeah, if you're gonna be a singer, you have to have a go-to song.
Bobby McGee.
Okay, that's a good one. Yeah.
I love Janis
Okay.
Joplin.
Yeah. Well, Shari, on that note, that's the best way to close it out. Now, you realize that when people are listening to this, you're now going to have to be prepared to sing a bit of that, because we've had some dancers on the show too. Kate's a good dancer, so we hear. She hasn't broken it
We'll
on the
team
show
up.
yet,
We'll
but
team
you
up.
can team up there in the Poconos.
Good
And
idea.
it's going to be really exciting.
Yep.
So yeah, instead of in-store banking, we're gonna have in-store lounges with singing and dancing. It's
I
gonna
think
be
we're onto something.
phenomenal. Shari, thank you so much for your partnership, for leading the banking here at WSFS for all of our communities in the Philadelphia, New Jersey, and Delaware regions. I mean, it is a core part of our communities, what we do here at WSFS, and your leadership and the culture you help foster and carry forward is so important. So thank you for being on the show with us today.
Thank you for having me. It was a pleasure.
Kate, anything you want to close out with here today? But I think it was an awesome show.
I think it was an awesome show, and I think we learned a little bit more about Shari.
Yeah.
So thank you for sharing.
And thank you, everyone else, for listening to this episode of the Planning Perspectives podcast. Make sure you subscribe on your favorite podcast channel so you never miss an episode.
Thank you for listening to the Planning Perspectives podcast. Don't forget to click the follow button to be notified when new episodes are available. Visit our website at www.bmt.com or call us at 833-973-7633. The opinions voiced in this podcast are for general information only and are not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual. To determine which strategies or investments may be suitable for you, consult the appropriate qualified professional prior to making a decision. Investments, not a deposit, not FDIC insured, not insured by any federal government agency, not guaranteed by the bank, may go down in value.